You guys are going to get the top core plays for this NBA DFS slate on Monday. Also going to touch on some values for both FanDuel and DraftKings, as well as the ownership coverage. Let's go ahead and get into it. Just a reminder, if you guys enjoy this coverage, make sure to give a like and subscribe as well. Just looking at the slate right now, we do have a lot of injury news. Okay, a lot of injury news. And that's really going to change the whole dynamic of the slate really throughout the day. So just a reminder, be in the Discord chat before lock. Link to that's in the description below. But looking at this, just sorting by the OF index, we can see Jokic is a good play. Like, we have a lot of top-end studs. The three MVP candidates, Giannis, Jokic, and Embiid, all looking like spectacular play. And it's kind of fun, Jokic and Embiid going up against each other. I could see kind of that narrative actually boosting their ownerships higher than they should be. Right now, it's actually the opposite. Giannis is currently the highest projected stud. I would say, in simple, we're probably just playing the one that's going to be the least owned. But we can see that's kind of the lineup path that the OF index is suggesting. And then from there, we scroll down. We do see we have some really kind of good medium price point plays, whether that be Brandon Ingram, Jalen Brunson, Jamal Murray. Like, it's going to be easy to make a good build right now. So let's just talk about the value that is out there on the slate. We'll start with DraftKings. So because Portland is so banged up, literally like all their starters are projected to sit. We saw Nasir Little get a ton of run last night, and he really shot the ball a ton as well. He is not going to do this well again tonight. I just want to make that very clear. He also got into foul trouble as well. Like, he went 11 for 21. It'd be kind of surprising to see him shoot that much again. But at 3.8, we really don't need him to do much. Like, can he put up 22, 20 fantasy points? He can, so it makes sense. And both on FanDuel and DraftKings, he kind of just seems like someone we have to play. Now, I want to make it clear, I don't really think he's a lock and load play like the ownership is suggesting here. He should probably be closer to, let's say, 50% owned. I think that will come down as we get value throughout the day. But as it sits right now, yes, he is kind of just the easy plug and play right now. And maybe throughout the day, that'll change. Same thing with Drew Eubanks as well, especially on DraftKings where he's 4.3. FanDuel, it's nice because he has power forward and center eligibility as well. They are just so banged up that these two players are going to be forced. It's kind of just as simple as that. It's basically yesterday's slate again, where we're putting in 3 Portland players and feeling pretty good about it. And yeah, Sharp is just going to be easy plug and play as well at this price point. Like, we kind of just need to eat the chalk at this point in the day as I'm putting this video out there. I would say Sharp is just kind of the easy plug and play, as well as Drew. Like, these two players are going to get a ton of minutes, and it's tough to see them not hitting value. Little should be able to hit value, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, wouldn't it be surprising to see Keon Johnson have a great game? Maybe he gets a little bit more run, gets hot shooting the basketball. Maybe Cam Reddish gets a little bit more run. Heck, Kevin Knox has been playing extremely well as well. He just hasn't been getting the minutes. So we just need to be in the Discord chat before lock, talking that over. And then from there, we see Maxey popping up there as a good value. He kind of always pops up there. I would say as it sits right now, we don't have that many like great value price point plays. Reggie Bullock is kind of interesting to me on the slate, just because we know that Luka's going to be out. And don't get me wrong, he's not the most productive with Luka off the court, but at the same time, he is a little bit productive. I would say he's a little bit too cheap. But that's kind of it right now. Like, value price point wise, these are all plays that we're kind of just ending up on. So literally on FanDuel, we're probably going Little. Drew, we're going Reggie Bullock. And that's just kind of the process. I will say Horton Tucker, he's eventually going to pop one of these days. It seems like it's just like he's been bad, but if Markkanen's going to be out, if those 2 point guards are going to be out, he is just going to have a random big game here eventually. That hasn't happened for quite a while. I'd say that's long overdue. And we do currently have Lauri Markkanen projected to play. He could sit. Now let's just look at the ownerships before we get into the lineup process. We can see we have a lot of chalk there for Portland, as it really should be. I'm a little bit shocked at Chris Paul's ownership. I'd rather go probably some other routes, and we'll touch on those as this video progresses, because I do think there are other guards we can roll with. Jalen Duren's kind of interesting. He could be a GPP play. Game is projected to be a blowout. Does he get a little bit of an extended run then if that happens? And then just looking at FanDuel ownership, like, it's kind of straightforward. Like, I would say we could fade Kyrie probably on both. He actually hasn't really exceeded his price point in terms of per 36 numbers. Now, it's a very small sample size with the Mavericks, but I think I'd rather just go with like Christian Wood, who actually gets a surprising amount of run with Luka off the court. So if we get news that Christian Wood is starting, he'd probably be someone I would want to be overweight on the field, because I would say the chances of him going off are pretty high. But I want to get into like the game by game breakdown, at least somewhat, because there's a lot of injury news. So like looking at Dallas versus the Pacers, like Luka's out, we know that. And so people are going to roll with Kyrie. I'm not saying that's a mistake. I'm just saying I don't expect him to put up 56. I would say if he's going to be chalky like he is, I'd rather go with someone that's going to be lower owned that has just as much upside. Now, if Haliburton is out, he's currently questionable. That does change the dynamic of this game as well. Dallas would probably be favored to win by a little bit more. If he sits, then it becomes much more difficult. I will say Jordan Nwora definitely has my attention. He's been someone I've been slipping into my lineups here and there just because price price point wise, it really hasn't adjusted for how well he's been playing. Now, the minutes are never guaranteed, but we talk about GPP winning upside. That is Jordan Nwora lately. I mean, 45 in the last game against Atlanta. Obviously, that's great. But we look at price point wise, 31, 32, 34, 39. Like, the upside's there. And so if Halliburton is out, Nwora is extremely interesting at this price point, especially as well. Like, we have Miles Turner currently questionable as well. He could sit. So then that could shift more minutes to Nwora as well. And if Miles Turner sits and Christian Wood starts, Christian Wood, I would say, has GPP winning upside as well. If he gets around 30 minutes, we currently have him projected to get 24, he could really go off. So from Milwaukee, Detroit is projected to get blown out. That makes all their players a little bit more difficult. And that makes kind of the Bucks a little bit more difficult as well. I could see like Brook Lopez going off in limited minutes like he did against Utah. This is a very favorable matchup. Like, I would say it's very hit or miss. Someone from Milwaukee is going to be the reason why they're going off. The problem with Milwaukee is that besides last game, they're all clicking really well. I would say one of these players, whether that be Brook, Chris Middleton, or even Drew, like, they're all a little bit too cheap. I could see them having GPP winning upside. I would say I like Brook a little bit more, but then we're eating up a center spot. Do we want to do that? And then for what it's worth, like Jalen Duren, you know, he definitely needs to get a little bit more run than this, but given the fact that they're going up against the Bucks, I kind of expect one of Wiseman or Bagley to get into foul trouble. Thus, Duren's going to be thrust into a little bit more minutes if that happens, like probably closer to 28 minutes. And if he gets 28 minutes, it wouldn't be too shocking to see him put up 40 fantasy points. So he is someone that, you know, I think we want to have exposure to and probably be overweight on the field. We're hoping to get lucky, but that's kind of the name of the game at this point of the season. With Houston, Kevin Porter Jr. really had himself a terrible game last game. I don't expect that to happen again. It was just long overdue. This is actually a game in which you probably could get away with stacking. Kevin Porter Jr. at a soft price point, Jalen Brunson at an extremely soft price point, and then Jalen Duren as well. Like, he has been every other game. He's been putting up 40 and then like 25 fantasy points. So he is someone I think we could firmly play as well. Like, it's a good stacking opportunity if this game goes off, and I kind of expect it to be a high scoring game. We could see the appeal to that. Now, Phoenix, I don't really love, nor do I love like Utah. To me, it's kind of just a stay away. I will say Walker Kessler does have some like GPP upside, but if Aiden's back, kind of hinders that a little bit. Then I mentioned we got both bigs here, Embiid and Jokic, and I won't be shocked to see Embiid said he kind of had a quote out there saying, I need a day off pretty much. So it would be kind of a weird move given the fact that he's trying to win an MVP. And so he wants to play really well. And I would say kind of because of that narrative, I probably want to be overweight on Embiid if he plays. Like, he is literally going for the MVP. Whether he admits it or not, saying, I'm not stat padding, I could stat pad. But it's very clear you are trying to win the MVP. And because of that narrative, I think he would be in a good spot. At the same time, maybe, just maybe, Embiid and Jokic get each other into foul trouble and the minutes aren't there. Now, Minnesota was pretty annoying in terms of like who was going off last night against the Warriors. Like, Anthony Edwards had, 36 minutes. And is he really going to play again tonight in a back-to-back after coming in from an injury? That'd be shocking to me. But if he does play at this price tag, he'd be too cheap. It wouldn't be shocking to see him put up 50 against the Kings. And if he sits, then someone like Kyle Anderson would hold some upside as well. Then, like, kind of looking at like the Pelicans, if we're going to be playing a lot of Portland in a game that is projected to be a blowout, then I do think we want some exposure to some of the Pels. Now, we need CJ McCollum to go off for, 45, 49 like he did last game. That's asking a lot, it seems like, but logically speaking, I actually don't mind kind of running out a stack in this game. And then I think we would also kind of have to run out some Brandon Ingram, who really has been going off lately. We're really banking on both of them going off. And then looking at this last game, Paul George, we know is going to be out. Kawhi Leonard is currently questionable, so that could open up some value. We already see that Russell Westbrook is very priced up just with that news. He's probably priced up a little bit too high. I would actually be interested in Bones Highland as a play. I'm very curious as to what his ownership is. Nothing right now. And that's only a minimal amount of minutes. I could see him getting a lot of minutes tonight. So, this is kind of a wait and see approach. If we get news that Kawhi is going to sit tonight, then Highland becomes kind of an awesome, I think, low ownership, high upside play. Now, it's not the safest, don't get me wrong, but that's kind of the upside we're looking for, is low owned with high upside. And we can see he has been going on. He's always been kind of a point per minute player as well. So I feel like we kind of get the nature of this slate. We are still waiting on a lot of news, like I mentioned. So let's try to just close out this build. But Sharp at shooting guard and then McCollum at point guard. That opens up a little bit lineup process wise. And the only problem with this is the late night game. So yes, we can adjust as the slate progresses, but it does kind of leave us handcuffed to maybe injury news popping up that we can adjust. So I want to see who was the top OF index play that I could kind of fit in here. Maybe 7.8, Jalen Brunson. I feel fine with that. Let's do that. Miles Turner currently questionable. I don't know if I actually want to put him in here just yet. We got Eubanks popping up there. Nazir Little. I'm trying to find a good value price point play. Mitchell Robinson potentially. This is kind of weird. Maybe Buddy Hield. He's out. I think it's Wara then. If Buddy Hield's out too, a decent amount of salary left over, could then pay up elsewhere. As the slate progresses, obviously we can make some adjustments. Probably don't have to go Duran in this build. 5.9, we can pay up a little bit. Zubac, maybe Chris Dunn. Probably Zubac for now. Hopefully he gets a little bit extended run. The minutes haven't been there. Very much a GPP only play. But that's all for this video, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. If you guys want access to any of the tools in this video, the model that you guys saw throughout the video, there's a link in the description below. And you also get access to the lineup builder with that as well. All right, thanks for watching. Let's have it slate. And as always, good luck.